Shalom everybody. I firstly want to say that I know that I haven't made a video in a while, and I'm seeing your comments saying, are you alright? You haven't made a video in a while. And I want to firstly say that yes, I am actually much better. I know there's people who see my community post, and I was miserable at the time. I really was. But thankfully, through the grace of God, he's been helping me so much with other people. He's put upon other people to help me out. So I do thank you for that so much. The good news before I get into kind of the meat and potatoes of the video is that now I am volunteering at a hostel in Elat. I got accepted the 23rd, and I came here the 29th, and I've been working ever since. I don't get paid. I just get a dorm. You see that's a bed right there. And I also get fed 2 times a day, which is, it's wonderful. I'm so thankful for that. But again, I'm so thankful for the people that have been helping me this entire time, because again, through the grace of God, he's put it upon you to do so. So I thank God, and I also thank you for being led by the Spirit to do so. But the reason why I want to talk about kind of my experience forsaking everything in Florida and also in Israel is because there's a lot of people I know who feel led by God to do some type of great work for him, right? There's people, who want to start ministry. There's people who want to work in healing. There's people who want to, everything else, who wants to be a preacher, who wants to, everything else. Brain can't think right now. There's a lot of things that people feel led to do. But I know there's also kind of like that natural worry, the natural fear. I wouldn't say really fear, just the anxiety and worry, the worriness of kind of taking that step, because let's just be honest, we don't have the fullness of trust in God, even though we say that we do. It could always be better. There's people who would trust God enough to walk into a lion's den and trust that he will protect. But from what I've seen in the Bible thus far, even the highest of the highest, they still kind of have that natural worrying. If we were to fully trust God as Jesus did, we're unstoppable. But we do still kind of have that worry, whether you want to admit it or not, myself as well. I do have a natural tendency to kind of rant and to kind of go into the abyss of what I'm saying. But I want to try to keep this as simple as possible. I don't want to go off on a giant tangent. I said it was going to be a very in-depth story, but again, you know me. I think something, but sometimes it doesn't come out as properly as I wanted to. That's the unfortunate thing. So I'm going to give you the story real quick of kind of how I did it and what God has done for me in the process. And I firstly want to say that this all started back when I was living with CJ. I originally had a house beforehand. I bought a house. I was living in it. At that time, it was like a year and a half into living in my house. Me and CJ and a friend Jacob, which by the way, he's the same person that was in my dream from the Lord about the giant tsunami that was coming, the destruction that was coming. And CJ and Jacob, we all sat down, and CJ had preached the gospel to us. And that's kind of where it all started. And eventually, I moved in with CJ. We had got an apartment together under their name. And I started to grow in faith a lot, reading the word every single day. And for the past 6 months beforehand, even while still living in the house before going to live with CJ, I was telling God, I was in prayer, and at the time I was in tears because there's a lot of terrible things going on. I said, God, as long as I am saved, I will willingly surrender everything. I will forsake everything for you. And at the time, I didn't fully mean it, though I would have liked to have meant it more. And slowly but surely, God has been taking away everything in my life, whether it was my house, whether it's friends, whether it's my computer that I built from scratch, whether it's any other idols, my truck, cars, lands. Slowly but surely, everything has been starting to be taken away. It wasn't like I lost everything in one night, but I think God heard my prayer. I've said this multiple times to him, that I will forsake everything if I just be saved, even so by fire. Because I'll be honest, I'm not perfect, and I fall into sin every single day, whether it's something very stupid or something that's ignorant. Regardless, I'm sinning. I sin every single day. I don't want this. I hate that I deal with this every single day. But I believe God heard my prayer, my multiple prayers about forsaking everything. And I think he was actually putting me to the test by everything. And slowly it became, it's like I lost the desire for the material things. Even while living with CJ, I still have this desire to just fully pursue what I've been telling God. Because beforehand as well, I don't want to like veer off, but I was also telling God that if you were to make my channel more popular, this is my other channel. This sounds really bad, I know, but this is like very, very, very early. Before I even confessed that Jesus was the Son of God, I had believed in just God. And I asked God, if you just help this channel, because I wanted to make videos every single day. I wanted to make people happy with my videos, my demonic videos. If you know the channel, I don't watch it. It's terrible. But I really wanted to get that channel on the rise. And I had told God, I said, Lord, if you make this channel more successful, I will use it to not benefit, I will use it for you. I will make videos for you. And though at the time I didn't mean it because I'm very dumb at the time, slowly but surely, I did start making videos, and you can actually see that on the channel because he showed me so many things, so many dreams, so many, not visions, but revelation from God. But anyway, I know that I veered off, and I told you exactly what was going to happen, that I was going to veer off into the abyss with my ranting. But anyway, I was saying that I had this natural desire to forsake everything. It was on my mind the entire time I was living with CJ. And we had a dog at the time, and I'm going to put pictures right here. His name is Flapjack. And when it's saying, I can't remember the exact scripture of it, but I just remember that I will be rewarded much, much more, forsaking wives, lands, family, houses, and Flapjack, who I still love. I love him to death. I haven't seen him in a very long time. I'm gonna put his pictures right here so you can see just how adorable he is. I mean, come on, he is the most adorable dog you can ever have. I thought of Flapjack as a little, I wouldn't say a brother, but as a child. He was my baby boy. I loved him so much. So when that time came, CJ said something I didn't like. I know he's probably gonna watch this, and it kind of turned into a hasty decision to leave. And then it turned into, okay, well, this is something that I told God that I wanted to do. And maybe this is happening for a reason. Telling him that, you know, I don't want to be here anymore. It wasn't like we're on bad terms. We're still in good terms. I had told CJ I'm going to leave, and he was okay with it. And again, this is something that I told God that I wanted to do. I believe that this situation happened for a purpose. And then when that time came, oh my goodness, my heart melted. My heart was in such shambles because the one thing that I loved more than anything was that dog. And before I start crying, it's probably time to move on from that. But that's kind of the story, is that I love that dog so much. As like, you know, a father to a child, right? And it was very hard saying goodbye. And I had left, and I went down to Florida, started in Miami, having nothing but a backpack. Kind of my plan going down to Florida. Like on the bus ride there, I was still like, okay, what am I going to do when I'm here? I'm just kind of trusting in God, whatever happens will happen. I was planning on getting a tent and finding somewhere, just kind of hang out. I had this like vision in my mind. It wasn't like a vision from God, but I envisioned it being, I'm gonna get a tent and I'm gonna find some open land. I'm just gonna relax, gonna make some fires, gonna cook some fish, gonna cook some beef, steak, you know, that kind of thing. Get a job and just hang out and not suffer, which is the exact opposite of what happened. But it didn't turn anything out like that. My plan was to go to Miami because it's open, it's a giant city, though I hate the city. I got off the bus in Miami. And first off, I want to tell everybody, Miami, that is the darkest, it is the most spiritually darkened place I have ever been in my life. It's not something I can very explain. You can feel the presence of darkness there. And that was a very rude awakening, because I imagine Florida being more godly because they're more conservative, they're more right-wing, and they align more with my values. Obviously, I'm a Christian. We align more right, though there are some crazy ones, which I guess people could probably say the same about me, but I assumed like we aligned in beliefs, Christianity, and politics as well. But no, guys, it felt like you could just feel darkness around you. And I was venturing off into Miami for a little bit. First night I had slept on, it was like under, I wouldn't say like a freeway, but it was at like a park or something like that. And I was waiting to get a payment from a friend. It was over like $1,000 so I can actually get on my feet. But it didn't happen immediately, which kind of bummed me out, but I just had faith that God would provide in some way. And of course, he always does. He always puts somebody in my life. He always leads me to something good. And kind of the story with that is I've been in Miami for about 5 days or so. Had bought a longboard, was able to travel. So I was very thankful for that, until somebody tried to steal my longboard at a metro. And then the guy thought he was very slick. I went down there. He was about to run away. I stopped right there. And I was like, "That's not yours, man." He's like, "Oh no, I just saw it right there. I didn't think it was anybody." He's like, "Dude, just give me the longboard." And I felt very good because I didn't punch him. I didn't fight as I usually would have. That was like the moment, like I felt more Christ-like, because I didn't pursue envy. I didn't pursue any bitterness towards him, but rather peace with him. And after that, venturing off to Homestead, because Homestead being on the maps, looking like it's very open, like I can actually just go like into the wilderness, to an open land, and just relax here and pitch up a tent. No, it didn't work anything like that, because everywhere that would have been open land is covered by a giant gate. And number one, it would have been illegal for me to just cross over that gate and to pitch a tent. I couldn't even jump over it if I wanted to. So I have been outside for a few days sleeping. And again, people probably don't want to hear this at all, but kind of the theme of this is that I am still here. I am still alive. I have been fed consistently. There's some nights I had bought a hotel just to kind of get away from being outside and get some good sleep. And that's exactly what I've been doing in Florida. I've talked to people, and I've spread the gospel to them, and that's actually how I started this channel. You can actually see it was the very first video I did in this channel. If you go all the way down, that's the channel that's the video. Very first video I did in Florida, and that's about my dream of the Lord. And I asked God, I was like, "God, if you want me to do this," because I had felt led to do this. "God, if you truly do want me to do this, Lord, I ask that you will share this with the multitudes of people." And I went to bed. I believed it was going to happen because he's been helping me so much. And sure enough, a lot of people have saw that. I'm so thankful that I was able to do such a great work for the Lord with that video. Not boasting on myself. But yeah, in Florida, it's basically the same thing every day. I would find people. God would put people in my life. God will put people in my life to talk to spread the gospel to. And eventually kind of making my way up through Florida, starting from Miami, going down to Homestead, and then making my way all the way to Orlando. Some people saw my video and they reached out to me, and they said that they felt led by the Lord to let me live with them for a little bit. And I ventured up to Orlando. I live with a Christian family, and what's really crazy is like their daughter had a dream from God of me in the dream, and I'm not sure I can remember exactly what was going on in the dream, but I just remember that the little girl said that she saw a guy with a backpack, me, walking down the street, and then we had talked, and I believe it was just like, it was something about God. And she was like, "Do you believe in God?" or something like that. And I can't remember exactly the rest. I would actually love to reach out to them as well to kind of see. But afterwards, making my way back to Virginia because I was visiting my mother for Christmas. Long story short, there was some conflict that had happened, and I had just left, didn't have anywhere to go, and I just asked God, just please put somebody in my life that can help me out, just shelter me for a little bit before I make my way to Israel. Because this has been my plan the entire time. I've always been wanting to go to Israel. Like, even while living with CJ, that was my plan, is to eventually go to Israel. They can testify to this as well, is that I've been telling them this for a very long time. Since we've been living together, that's my whole plan, is to make my way to Israel at some point and to spread the gospel to the Jewish people. But I was in Virginia, and conflict happened. Didn't have anywhere to go. It was 30 degrees. It was freezing, and it was nighttime. I think it was like 11 o'clock at night. Kind of lost hope in being with somebody that night, and it was just out of the blue. Tim White and Dreamer White have reached out to me. That's some old childhood friends. Well, I had old childhood friends. It's their parents. And long story short, I was able to live with them for a little bit. Tribulation being over for just a certain amount of time. Living with them, and I was able to be fed, able to get a job, and I had saved enough money, and with a GoFundMe as well, to make my way to the airport so I may finally go to Israel. This plan on my mind the entire time, doing the same exact thing I'm doing in Florida. Forsaking everything I have, and just going out with a backpack. And long story short, I don't know if I told anybody this yet. I'm not going to say who did it because we are on good terms. It's not like I don't like the person. It's not like I haven't forgive. But it's a very crazy story. I went to the airport, and as I'm about to leave, I had booked the ticket for Israel. To Tel Aviv, Israel, then going to Jerusalem was the plan. I got into the airport, and I just felt it. I was like, something's not right. Nothing ever goes as easy for me. There's always some test. There's always some tribulation I have to go through before I'm able to do the thing that I believe I'm being led to do. There's always some tribulation going on. Always some test. And long story short, I got to the airport, and it said, my plane had been canceled. Like, what do you mean? How has my plane been canceled? And I asked this lady, I was like, is the plane just not coming? What's going on? She couldn't figure it out. I couldn't figure it out. And it was about 20 minutes later, I had gone in the chats, and I wanted to ask, like, what's going on with the plane? And she's like, oh, you already canceled the flight. I'm like, what do you mean? I haven't canceled a flight. That doesn't make any sense. Why would I cancel the flight? I'm trying to leave here. I want to go. And he was like, well, I can send you the messages. It would just be like a week or so. I'm like, what do you mean? You're saying that I messaged you and told you to cancel the flight? I would never do that. Turns out, you can actually scroll up. And I saw the messages beforehand. Didn't realize I can do that. And I saw that somebody had gotten into my Expedia account and had canceled the flight. I can't even describe to you just how I was the most angry I've ever been. I kept it inside though. I don't think I cursed. I don't think I have like yelled, but imagine holding in that much anger. And by the way, For those who don't think it's a big deal, you can just get another plane ticket. It was non-refundable. That was the worst possible thing. It was a $550 plane ticket. And I had about another $600 to go to Israel. So my anger inside is building up. I go back with Tim. I call him. He's already like halfway back, and I called him back, and I'm in the car. I was just so angry that I started to tear up as well. Oh my goodness, I was so angry. Made my way back to their house, and I decided this is absolutely a test. This is 100% a giant test from God. And I told him, I was like, this isn't going to stop me. I believe fully that this is something that you want me to do. And this will really damage my faith if I feel like you've told me to go to Israel and it just doesn't happen at all. So I had told God, I was like, I don't have that much money, but I will buy another ticket. I will. It was like $600 to $700 I had left. Because there's this one lady who had given me a check for $500, and thank goodness I believe that. Again, this is why I believe it's a test, because like that $500 went all into that plane ticket, and the second plane ticket was $600. Keep in mind, no refund for the first one. That money's completely gone. So I bought the ticket, made sure that it's impossible for anybody to hack into my Expedia account, and I had ventured off to Israel. And ever since then, I've been here. And when I first got here, I went to Tel Aviv. Well, actually, that's a lie. Unpurposeful lie. I went to Jerusalem first off because that's where all the history is. I wanted to see it so bad. I had gotten there. I already booked a hostel, which is 5 times cheaper than like a regular hotel. It was like $20 a night to stay there. But keep in mind, I didn't have like any money going there. I left that airport with $1. I promise you, I'm not joking with you. I'm not lying to you. I left with a single dollar, and I had this belief in me that God will provide in some way. This is the whole theme of it, is that despite the things that I'm going through, despite the tribulations and test, I had that belief that in some way, I don't know how, that God was going to provide for me. I left with a single dollar and maybe some change. So I get to Jerusalem, and first night is in the SpaceX capsule. It's like you can sleep in a capsule. It's like, imagine like you're in space or whatever, and they have these like little bunks like this, but a little bigger, like that. You just sleep in it. It was kind of cool. Then almost getting robbed my first night because there's a guy that's just like sneaking through the dorms, trying to steal everybody's stuff. Yeah, that wasn't very fun. So after Jerusalem, I decided, since I'm not going to have a place to stay, I only had it for, I think it was 2 nights is all I had. It's like 2 to 3 nights is all I had the dormitories for, or the hostels. I was like, well, Jerusalem is freezing. It is windy. It is rainy. It's so cold. It is unbelievably cold there. And I was like, okay, Tel Aviv is 10 degrees higher in temperature. 10 degrees Fahrenheit higher. So I took the remainder of the money, because I believe it was my grandmother or somebody that helped me with a little bit of money. I used the rest of the money for a bus ticket to get out to Tel Aviv. And really, I had walked around for a little bit, and then nighttime came. And guys, let me tell you, windy and cold, it does not mix, okay? It was, oh my goodness, it was so miserable. The first night, I slept on the beach. And then in my mind, I was like, God, why am I doing this? Why is it only me that's doing this? I feel like I'm the only person in the world who would ever do this. Why am I all right, let me back up. Because I personally feel at that time that I am the only one who's going through such extremes to do something like this. Like, I know there's been people who have done it before, but like, I feel like I'm the only one going to the extremes to do stuff. I was praying to God. I was in agony. I was crying. I was like, God, why am I doing this? Why am I here? Why can't I be like the rest who are in their house and are able to preach the gospel, do such great works and heal? Why am I miserable all the time? Why am I forsaking everything? Why am I losing my shelter? Why am I constantly hungry? I was very hungry at the time as well. And I just asked God, please provide for me, because I trusted that you would provide for me since I've been here. Since I would be here, since I would willingly leave everything, again, not boasting of myself, that you would continue to provide for me. And it's only been like a day, and it's been less than a day, and I haven't had food or shelter. And of course, I do complain about everything, and I was just like, wasn't angry, but I was very like upset with God at the time. But that night, after crying and praying to God, I had went to bed on the beach. I put up multiple layers of stuff, and I just kind of like curled up into a ball like this and just laid on the beach, woken up about like 10 times throughout the night because it was unbearably cold. It's very hard to sleep in the cold, and I'll sleep in 100-degree weather. I don't like the cold. Okay. And I think it was like literally like 30 minutes later, after I prayed to God, I haven't checked my phone. I went to bed, that I had received a PayPal donation from somebody, from a family member. And so I was able to get some food that next morning. He provided me in that way. And ever since, after Tel Aviv to Jerusalem to Eilat, there has not been a single day I have not had at least one meal. Unless I'm fasting, unless I'm purposely abstaining from food, every single day I have been here in some way, whether it's God putting upon somebody to donate to me, whether he's putting it upon other people to feed me while I'm here. There has not been a single day that I have not been fed. Again, coming here with nothing but $1. Just a single dollar. I'm not kidding you. a dollar and change, whatever. God has always provided for me since I've been here. And that does make me feel bad, because it feels like every time, like God does something good for me, it feels like with my sin, I'm trying not to get emotional, but it feels like every time God does something good for me, I tend to spit on him with my sin. And I mean, people know me by now. It's no secret that I'm not perfect. I tell people that when I tell you something in my videos, that I'm applying it directly to myself as well. I need to watch my own videos more than anyone. And that's why I tell people, don't think of me as anything special. Like, I'm barely making it as is. And that's just the truth of the matter. It's not like I want to do these things, but I have overcame things through the Lord Jesus Christ. He has helped me so much, and I've overcome so much, and there's been just so much temptation. This entire time since I've been here, it's been just a giant spiritual attack. And that's the reason why you see in the community post, because my complaining the community post is because I've been spiritually attacked since I've been here. It has been unrelenting. There's something that the devil does not want me to do. There's some blessing coming from God. There's something that is in the works of God, and Satan does not want that to happen. So he's trying to put me in bondage and in sin. He's trying to get me to do just horrible things against God. But I'm thankful, again, that through the Lord, that he's put upon me to overcome these things. Because again, we are flesh and we are also spirit. Give it to the spirit, not the flesh, and you'll be good. And the fuller you are of the Holy Spirit, the more you read his word, the safer you will be from sin, the less bondage you will be under. And it's been very hard for me since I've been here to not be in the world. It's been very hard for me to consistently stay in his word, to consistently stay with the Lord while I'm doing these things, while I'm being spiritually attacked, and while I'm miserable. I don't like that. And again, it just makes it a little bit harder. But I simply just want to tell people, for the ones who are feeling led by God right now to do something, whether it is ministry, whether it's preaching the gospel, whether it is healing, or whether it's some other uncomfortable giant step that you would have to take, that's kind of my message to you, is that regardless of how horrible or how unlikely the situation is, what is a good word for that? Just a very bad situation overall. I can promise you, that is my promise to you, is that in some way, God will help you. Again, whether it's ministry, whether it's preaching the gospel, whether it's forsaking everything and going to an unknown land and just relying on God. I promise you, that is my, I don't want to make any more promises. I don't want to promise that I'm going to do a video. I don't want to promise that I'm going to do whatever, but that is my promise to you. Whatever you feel led by God to do, I implore you that you should just take that step. Just believe that God will help you in some way. And I don't want to say this because I don't want to seem like a bad person or whatever, but like I've noticed that it's usually when I start to lose faith. It's usually when I start to lose hope and that certain thing happening. Like if I hear from the Lord inside, like, I will feed you today. And it's coming 9 o'clock. And I'm just like, well, I thought I was going to get food today, but I didn't get food today. And then just randomly, like a few minutes later, like either like a PayPal donation will come in or just food will appear, not like out of the blue, but like food will come to me. It always happens. So I promise you that if there's a door closed and you can't see the door, let's say there's a door right here, it's closed, it fades to black. And you're like, well, I don't know where to go. Okay, I'm trying to have faith, but I don't see any light. Just stand there for a little bit, because eventually a door is going to appear out of nowhere. That's maybe not the right analogy for that, but a door will appear out of nowhere. A door will appear very soon. You just have to be patient. You have to just wait a little bit. Don't be as me. I can be very impatient at times, which is obviously not a fruit of the Spirit. Been much more patient lately. But just trust that in some way that God will open a door for you. Okay, guys. I think this video has been going on long enough. It's like 30 minutes. It's like 46, but I've had to redo this one time. But I love you guys. This may or may not be the last video. I'm not quite sure just yet. But I do love you all with my heart. I'm terrible at making these videos because, again, I rant. And it's not a good fit for me. I've spread the word to over 100,000 people, but I think it's time to move on. I'm just being very honest. If I get to a spot where I'm comfortable, if I get to a spot where I'm not miserable all the time, then I would gladly come back and spend 5 hours in one video. Spend 5 hours trying to make one video. I've started to lose my voice. I love you all. If you feel led to donate, the PayPal is at Mateo Herschel. I will put that in the link in the description. Again, I love you guys so much. Let's stay strong and let's be prepared for the rapture. And I'm telling myself that as well, because the cares of this world have been coming back in, and I had to abstain, and I had to be ready. I'm telling myself 100 times more, but I'm also telling you. I love you all. Peace.